Nealira Deepwhisper, The Whisper of the Waves. Chapter 1, The Call of the Horizon. Nealira Deepwhisper stood at the prow of the Midnight Mirage, her midnight blue cloak billowing behind her like a phantom of the sea. The starlit waters of the South Seas glimmered under the moon's watchful eye, casting a silvery sheen upon the waves. Each rise and fall of the ship echoed the steady beat of her heart, a rhythm as old as the tides themselves. She gazed out over the waters, her purple eyes alight with the thrill of untold promises drifting on the wind. The Midnight Mirage was a legend among the piratical underworld. Newly minted under the command of Nealira, its name whispered through the dockyards from Booty Bay to Ratchet. It was said that a name had power, that to carry the essence of the night sky could cloak one's intent. And Nealira, with her unyielding ambition and fierce determination, was the living embodiment of such power. "Captain!" A voice called from the deck below, breaking her reverie. It was Kellen, her first mate, a wiry human with a quick wit and even quicker reflexes. "We've got a ship on the horizon. Looks like a merchant vessel, by the flag." Nealira turned, her heart racing with the thrill of action. "What course are they on?" "Heading north, but they'll pass us if they stay true to their route." "Should we intercept?" A devilish smile spread across Nealira's lips. "Indeed. Ready the crew. We'll give them a taste of our hospitality." As the crew of the Midnight Mirage sprang into action, gathering weapons and preparing to hoist the Jolly Roger, Nealira felt the familiar surge of excitement. The act of piracy was not just about plunder, it was a means to assert her freedom. Each successful raid solidified her rule over the ship and marked her presence upon the treacherous seas. Chapter 2, The Merchant's Lament. The merchant ship, the Sea Jewel, bobbed lightly in the swell of the ocean, unaware of the danger lurking just beyond its wake. Nealira observed the crew bustling on the deck, blissfully ignorant of their imminent fate. She watched as they tended to sails and went about their business, unaware that their lines were about to cross with a pirate captain who held the tides in her grasp. "Prepare to board," Nealira commanded, her voice spilling over the sounds of the rolling sea. A hearty cheer erupted from her crew as they tightened their grip on their weapons. They were a motley group, disciplined former soldiers of the Alliance, quirkily skilled goblin engineers, and even a few remorseful blood elves seeking redemption from their previous lives. Together, they were adhesives binding threads of mercenary lives into a formidable crew. Nealira drew her cutlass, the metal glinting in the silver light. "On my mark, we storm their deck." With a single sweeping motion, she pointed toward the merchant vessel. The crew burst into action, swinging grappling hooks and launching themselves over the side of the Midnight Mirage. Nealira followed, landing with feline grace upon the deck of the Sea Jewel, her entrance like the arrival of a tempest. "By the tides!" a startled sailor exclaimed, his eyes going wide as he saw the trousers of the invaders pouring onto their ship. "Get the captain!" Nealira shouted, already locking eyes with the ship's captain, a portly fellow dressed in finery that contrasted starkly with the chaos around him. His eyes darted between his crew and the pirates swarming like hungry gulls around a wreck. "Stop!" "In the name of the king," he sputtered, raising a hand, but his voice lacked conviction. Nealira sensed the fear emanating from him. She advanced, cutlass glimmering with menace in the lantern light. "No need for theatrics, dear captain. We're merely here for your cargo. Hand over the valuables, and I'll not take your head today." Chapter 3, Treasures and Secrets. Within minutes, it became painfully clear that the Sea Jewel was not carrying gold, but rather a shipment of rare artifacts and enchanted relics. Among them was a gleaming trinket that caught Nealira's attention, a delicate pendant crafted from silver and azure, the insignia of a forgotten ancient order emblazoned at its center. It seemed to pulse with an almost sentient glow, and as Nealira held it, a familiar whisper echoed in her mind. "Take it." The voice sang to her soul like a siren's call, awakening her yearning for knowledge. She tucked the pendant away, a decision that felt both reckless and thrilling. This relic meant something, she could feel it. But time was short. She had to balance her fascination with the urgency of their situation. "Extract the valuables," she commanded, watching her crew work in synchronization, binding the merchant sailors and collecting the treasures that peddled the air with enchantment. Nealira kept her eyes on the pendant, hoping its essence might reveal new paths to power. Suddenly, a tremendous crash echoed behind them. One of her crew, a burly troll named Gromta, barreled toward her, terror twisting his features. "Captain! Another ship. It's the Fatebinder, I smell blood magic." Instinctively, Nealira's heart raced. The Fatebinder was a feared warship, a brooding vessel that had long sailed the treacherous waters, known for its ruthless crew that dabbled in dark sorcery and necromancy. If they were after the treasures from the sea jewel, they'd come to claim both the cargo and their lives. "Reinforce the ropes. Prepare to fire," her voice rang authoritatively through the chaos. Tension gripped her crew as they hurriedly prepped for combat, but Nealira remained focused. This was more than a battle. It was a crossroads, the chance to forge her legacy amidst the storms of destiny. Chapter 4: The Shadows of Fate. The silhouette of the Fatebinder emerged against the moonlit horizon, its black sails unfurling like the wings of a demon. The air grew heavy with foreboding, and the stench of dark magic clung to the breeze, seeping into their lungs. As the warship drew nearer, Nealira could see figures darting along its deck, sorcerers wielding wicked spells meant to ensnare. "Ready the cannons!" Nealira barked, her voice steady against the rising storm of chaos. With a fierce resolve, she prepared to repel the inevitable assault. Moments passed like ages as the Fatebinder closed the distance. Nealira watched as the enemy ship took position, their crew summoning forth dark energies swirling around them, a manifestation of their malevolent intent. Cold dread gripped the heart of the Midnight Mirage. They would not only face blades today but also forces that encumbered the very fabric of existence. With a boom, the first cannonball fired across the distance, tearing through the air and smashing into their hull. The Midnight Mirage trembled down its spine. Nealira steadied herself. "Brace the ship. Return fire." The ship erupted in action as cannons roared and plumes of smoke filled the air. Nealira fought through the chaos, keenly aware of her crew's loyalty. The battle was fierce, echoing the struggle between the need for freedom and the relentless grasp of fate. As the fight raged on, a sudden explosion rocked the main deck, sending splinters flying like deadly rain. Nealira stumbled but quickly regained her footing, her eyes searching frantically for her crew amidst the smoke. "Gromta," she yelled, hoping to find the troll amidst the chaos. But instead, she spotted an ominous shadow creeping from the Fatebinder, a figure cloaked in darkness. It glided, defying the very laws of nature, before facing her. "You seek power, child of moonlight. You do not understand what lies beneath," it spoke, its voice a haunting echo. Nealira narrowed her gaze at the dark figure, recognizing the ancient essence woven into the shadows. "And yet, it calls to me." The figure chuckled dispassionately, raising a skeletal hand which sent a wave of energy crashing over the Midnight Mirage. Nealira could feel the darkness brush against her mind, momentarily overwhelming her senses. Tendrils of dread wrapped around her heart. "Choose, Deepwhisper. Power or peace," the voice hissed, the grip tightening around her mind. "Your choice will lead you to doom or dominion." With a sudden surge of willpower, Nealira steeled herself against the psychic assault. "Neither. I choose freedom," she proclaimed defiantly, planting her feet into the ground, channeling the strength of her ancestors into her being. Chapter 5: The Price of Ambition. In response to her conviction, the shadows recoiled, and the dark figure faltered. The chaos around her seemed to bend in her favor as her crew rallied at her side, determination burning in their hearts. They drew strength from her resilience, refusing to cower before the intangible terrors of darkness. "Advance," she shouted, motioning for her crew to fire upon the spectral warship. Cannons fired, and the sound of splintering wood mingled with the cries of sailors. Nealira led the charge, pushing forward through the haze that clung to the decks. But even as the battle raged on, she felt the pull of the dark essence. It whispered of untold knowledge, of ancient secrets she could unlock. But with each piece of knowledge came a price, a tangled web of intentions that threatened to ensnare her. As she closed in, Nealira called upon the pendant she had taken from the sea jewel. Emblazoned beneath the moon's light, it vibrated, resonating with her energy. The whispers intensified, merging with her thoughts, revealing fragments of potential pasts laid dormant. "Release the bond," she cried against the murky air. "Let me forge my own destiny." With renewed vigor, she expressed every ounce of her convictions, channeling the pendant's magic into her strike. The shadows recoiled before her, and as she unleashed a radiant surge, an emerald arc of energy shot from the pendant, severing the dark tendrils of the Fatebinder's influence. For a heartbeat, the world ceased to exist, a moment of clarity slicing through the chaos, and in the next heartbeat, the clash of steel against steel erupted as her crew surged forward. They swept through the cockpit of the Fatebinder, grappling with the crew of dark sorcerers, clashing in a frenetic dance. Chapter 6: Embracing the Moonlight. As the battle escalated, Nealira focused on the dark figure that loomed ominously at its helm. Mindless chaos enveloped the Fatebinder, yet she felt an instinctual pull towards the center of its darkness. Fueled by adrenaline and purpose, she slipped past the chaotic fight, navigating through the wreckage. Each step ignited a melodic whisper from the pendant. It was guiding her, drawing her towards the heart of her fate. She burst into the captain's quarters, where the shadowy figure stood, surrounded by a swirling vortex of energy. It grinned, revealing glimmering yellow eyes that pierced through the darkness. "You think you can defy what has already been set in motion? Choose wisely, child." "Or what?" she challenged, her voice steady as she stepped closer, the pendant held high. "I have no need for your shadows." With each heartbeat, the energy pulsed from the pendant, illuminating the room, battling the darkness that threatened to entrap her. Localized radiance clashed with the shadows, and Nealira could feel the intoxicating desire for knowledge surging within her. "The weight of ambition is a burden," it hissed, extending its hands as if beckoning her to submit. "No more games." Nealira shouted, throwing her hands forward to launch the pendant's energy at the figure. "I will write my own destiny." The energy exploded forth, a radiant beam that obliterated the darkness, illuminating the figure momentarily while shattering the sinister grip it had over the vessel. The dark figure howled, the force of her defiance throwing it against the wall, dissipating into a fleeting mist of shadows. Nealira took a breath as the energy of the pendant coursed through her and crashed against the maelstrom outside. Emerging from the depths of her choice, she felt emboldened and unburdened. A cascade of memories flashed before her eyes, revealing visions of shipwrecks, cursed treasures, and sacrifices she had yet to make to claim her seat upon the throne of the seas. Chapter 7: Tides of Destiny. Stepping back into the chaos, she felt the wind at her back and the tide shifting beneath her feet. Her crew rallied, standing firm against the dark sorcery that had threatened to overtake them. The moment Nealira had wrenched control from the shadows echoed through the swirling energies of the Midnight Mirage, reflecting her indomitable spirit. "Push them back. Drive them into the depths," she commanded, now feeling the confidence igniting within her like fuel to a blazing fire. Together, they mounted a furious counterattack against the Fatebinder. As they advanced, the dark magic evaporated, finally severed from its anchoring grasp. "Take down their cannons," she yelled, having rediscovered control over the battlefield. The remnants of necromancers and sorcerers shrieked in panic as they began to falter. Cannonballs flew, and steel clanged as her crew fought relentlessly, driven by their newfound hope spurred by Nealira's boldness. Gromta fought beside her, cleaving through their enemies with fierce blows, and Kellen deftly maneuvered through the madness, directing their efforts with precision. The tide quickly turned in their favor, and Nealira could feel the sweet taste of victory drawing near. It was then the sun began to rise, illuminating the chaos that surrounded them, splashing light over the Midnight Mirage as its crew continued to wage war against the remnants of darkness. With a final surge of energy propelled by her mounting resolve, Nealira took her place at the helm, eyes fixed on Captain Helraxis, the blighted soul whom she would cement her legacy against. "Now," she commanded, unleashing the pendant's energy one last time, a radiant arc that coursed through her and erupted toward the enemy in blinding light. In that moment, the dark captain screamed through clashing steel and fading shadows, and as the golden dawnlight pierced through the echoes of a once cursed vessel, Nealira felt victory wash over her like a breaking wave. Chapter 8: The Dawn of New Adventures. With the Fatebinder's crew defeated and their remnants scattered like lost dreams upon the waves, Nealira stood victorious. The remnants of her crew rushed back to her side, cheeks flushed with exhaustion, but their hearts danced with elation. "Captain," Kellen exclaimed, laughing as he wiped a streak of soot from his face. "We did it. By the tides, we did it." Nealira took a moment to absorb the chaos around her, then closed her eyes, breathing deeply. The sun hovered on the horizon, casting new possibilities across the sea, a doorway inviting her to journey into the unknown. She replied, her voice steady, but deep within, she felt a stirring of the pendant at her side. "But it is only the beginning." As her crew cheered, she gazed out over the shimmering waves, her mind bursting with fresh possibilities. There were still ruins to explore, treasures to uncover, and destinies entwined with the whispers of the ocean. However, she sensed the shadows would always lurk just beyond the horizon, waiting for the opportune moment to return. Yet she would welcome it, the thrill of battle, the allure of the unknown, and the intoxicating urge for freedom propelled by knowledge were now her constant companions. She would usher in a new era aboard the Midnight Mirage, where the whispers of the waves echoed her command and ambition. "Set sail," she declared, her heart soaring alongside the sails, unfurling the opportunities ahead. They would navigate beyond the charts, away from familiar shores into realms untouched. As the Midnight Mirage sailed forth into the dawn, Duncan, a grizzled veteran among her crew, drew near. "Captain, I propose we chart a course towards the Isles of Quel'Thalas. I heard tales of a crystalline artifact guarded by enchantments." Nealira smiled knowingly. The path ahead was filled with twists and turns, but it was paved with legends waiting for a bold adventurer, especially one who dared to dream beneath the moonlit sky. "Then that will be our next destination," she said, filled with renewed fervor, her heart beating in rhythm with the sea. With every ripple carrying stories yet untold, the Midnight Mirage skimmed across the surface of adventure, ready to ride the waves of fate. The call of the horizon echoed in the distance, a promise of magic beyond reckoning, and Nealira Deepwhisper was ready to rewrite her story upon the turbulent waters of Azeroth. Epilogue: Echo of the Moonlit Shore. Days blended into nights as the Midnight Mirage traversed the vast seas of Azeroth, each sunrise unveiling new adventures and the mysteries that lay in wait. With her growing reputation, Nealira's name became synonymous with defiance against tyranny and an insatiable thirst for knowledge. But the shadows whispered still, echoing ancient truths that taunted her dreams, guiding her on a path both treacherous and alluring. As she stood once again on the prow, watching the moons gleam over the undulating waters, the murmur of the pendant hummed sweetly in her ears. "Embrace me, child of the night," it beckoned, carrying promises of relics forgotten and power untold, a dance of aspirations that mirrored her heart's desires. The haunting melody of her past intertwined with her ambitions, a symphony that urged her ever forward. Nealira felt a thrill rush through her veins, a feeling that she was part of something grander than herself. Her conflicted nature of desire and dreams persisted, propelling her deeper into her destiny. With night embracing her again, she whispered a silent promise, a commitment to navigate the tides of her fate and seek the truths held within the depths of the ocean. For beneath the moonlight beat the heart of the hidden world, forever intertwined with her own. The sea was no longer a mere expanse of water, it was a pathway to her legacy, a legacy she would write among the stars. A storm brewed on the horizon, but Nealira Deepwhisper thrived amid chaos. For she was a daughter of the night, a captain of freedom, and a seeker of the shadows that danced beneath the moonlit shores of destiny. And she would fight for it all, until the whispers of the waves finally surrendered their secrets.